All right, today we're going to talk a little bit about how to solve higher order polynomials. We're going to take it really easy this week, and then next week we'll make it a little bit harder. But so we're going to solve the polynomial, but I'm going to go ahead and give you one of the factors. So this is going to make it a little bit easier. So you have 4 examples on your notes, and then you're going to have a worksheet to do. Tomorrow you'll do a review where, like, at the end of class you can check your answers on that review. And then Friday will be an open note quiz, and you can use whatever notes and worksheets you have. If you need to get them out of the tray, you can. Just make sure you turn them back in. The paper today is the only one that I'm going to take for a grade. Well, this and the quiz for this week. So the worksheet for today is a grade, and then the quiz on Friday is a grade. But everything else, you're going to be able to check your answers so you know if you're doing it right or not. Okay, so I'm not going to take a grade for that because you're getting the answers. So let's look at number 1. The reason we call this a higher order polynomial is because it's greater than 2. It's a cubic function. And next week we'll see some that have a power of 4, 5, 6, stuff like that. But we're going to use synthetic division to solve this. So since we already know what one of our factors is, what we can do is use synthetic division to figure out our other polynomial. Like, let's just do synthetic division, I'll show you. So what you need to do first is find your 0. We did this last week. So our 0 for that binomial would be positive 1/2. And we also reviewed zeros yesterday, I think. So we're going to use synthetic division with 1/2 in that little box. Okay, our coefficients are 2, 3, -8, and positive 3. All right, so first thing you want to do is bring down your first number. So we're going to bring down the 2, multiply. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. Add them up, you get 4. Multiply, 4 times 1/2 is 2. Add them up, you get -6. And multiply, -6 times 1/2 is -3. And if you add them up, you get 0. Okay, that means that this is a factor, which is already stated, but it divides evenly. Okay, so if I were to write this out, I would have, let's see, we would have an x here and an x squared with the 2. So 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. So what this is saying is this times 2x minus 1 would give you this higher order polynomial. Okay, because whenever we divided by this, we got this 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. From there, we can break down that first polynomial like we did yesterday where we factored. Okay, so I want you to break it down, and you should only have factors where the highest power is 1. Okay, so that means you should only have factors where you have x in them. You shouldn't have factors with x squared or x cubed once you're done. Okay, you might have like sets, like parentheses, you might have 3 sets where there's x in them, but you should not have an x cubed or an x squared. If you do, you haven't finished the problem. So like here, you see how I have an x squared? I can factor that even further. So yesterday we said if there's a number in front, you want to look and see, is there a greatest common factor? Okay, and 2 goes into all 3 terms. So I'm going to take a 2 out, and I'm left with x squared. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and -6 divided by 2 is -3. Okay, so I'm going to factor this first polynomial. Factors of -3, this is what we did yesterday. Factors of -3 are 1 and 3. So to get a positive 2 in the middle, I'm going to have to do 3 minus 1. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm going to bring down the 2, and I'm going to have x minus 1, x plus 3, and I'm going to rewrite my factor that they gave me, 2x minus 1. Okay, so now it's in factored form. See how I have an x in each factor? It shouldn't be greater than x, okay? And here's a little rule of thumb. If you have x cubed, you should have 3 factors, 3 sets of x's, okay? So I want to see this. I want to see your answer in factored form. I also want you to find your zeros. So this is what we did on Monday, where it's in factored form and you find your zeros. Okay, so if I look at this factored form, my zeros would be a positive 1 for my first factor. I'm not going to worry about the 2. I pulled it out, it's done. For my second factor, it would be negative 3. And my last one, remember you take the opposite and then divide by the number in front. So positive 1 over 2. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. We're putting it in factored form and then finding the zeros. All right, let's look at number 2. Okay, on number 2, it tells us x minus 4 is a factor. So we're going to use synthetic division to figure out the rest of the problem. So I'm going to take x minus 4 and I'm going to say, okay, what is my 0? And for that factor, my 0 would be a positive 4. And that goes in my little box. Okay, write down your coefficients. 1, 1, negative 16, negative 16. First thing I'm going to do is bring down the 1. Then I'm going to multiply, add them up, multiply, add them up, multiply, and add them up. Okay. And on your paper, when you do the synthetic division, you should get a remainder of 0 because it already tells you that this is a factor. Okay. If you get a remainder that is not 0 today, you did something wrong. So I would go back and check how you multiplied and added those numbers. All right, so this is telling us that our polynomial, let's see, that would be an x and then an x squared. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 4. And one of our factors is x minus 4. They went ahead and told us that. Okay, so you're going to do synthetic division. You're going to rewrite it. And you're going to factor this even further. Okay, so I'm going to find the factors of 4. So 1 times 4, 2 times 2. In which 2 will add or subtract to give me a 5x in the middle. Be 1 and 4. All right, so factored form would be x plus 1, x plus 4, and x minus 4. So I want to see that. And then you're going to find your zeros. Okay, so for my first factor, my 0 would be a negative 1. Second one, negative 4, and positive 4. Okay, so we're pretty much combining Monday and Tuesday. So put it in factored form and then find your zeros. Okay? All right, so let's try number 3. On number 3, they give us the factor again, so we're going to find our 0. That way we can do our synthetic division. Okay, so it's going to be a positive 5 over 2. And that's going to go in my little box. Okay, now I'm going to write down my coefficients. I have a 2, negative 7, 1, and 10. That x has a sneaky 1 in front. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do synthetic division. Bring down your 2. Multiply, add them up, multiply, and you get negative 5. Add them up, you get negative 4. Multiply, and you get negative 10. So we have a remainder of 0. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this This is 2x squared minus 2x minus 4. And one of my factors it told me was 2x minus 5. Okay, so I'm still not done yet because I have an x squared here. Okay, so see how there's a number in front? Ask yourself, is there a greatest common factor in these three terms? And there is. A 2 goes into all three. So I'm going to take out a 2, and it's going to make factoring easier. Okay, so I'm left with x squared. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, so negative x. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So just make sure if you take out a greatest common factor, you're dividing every single term by that number. All right, so now we can factor it. What are the factors of negative 2? It's 1 times 2. So how are we going to get a negative 1 in the middle? Okay. That 2 would be negative. Your bigger number would be negative. So I'm going to bring down my greatest common factor, and then my factors will be x plus 1, x minus 2, and then they gave me 2x minus 5. Okay, then I'm going to find my zeros. So my zeros would be negative 1 for the first one, positive 2 for the second one, and positive 5 halves for the third one. Okay. Now I want y'all to try number 4, and then we'll check. So I'll give you 45 seconds to try it out, and then we'll check. Okay, so on the last one, you should have done synthetic division first. So my 0 is a positive 1. My coefficients would be 1, 7, negative 1, negative 7. Okay, so you should have brought down the 1, multiplied, added them up, multiply, add them up. Oops. So that gives you a positive 7. Sorry. And then multiply, add them up, you get 0. Okay, so you should have gotten x squared plus 8x plus 7. And one of your factors is x minus 1. Okay, factor the first one even further. So factors of 7 are 1 times 7. So to get a positive 8 in the middle, you would do x plus 1, x plus 7, and then you have the x minus 1. Okay, so your zeros, you should have gotten negative 1, negative 7, and positive 1. All right, so this is what you're going to do on the worksheet. Once you're done, you can turn it in. Like I said, you can use it for your test on Friday since it's open note. Just make sure you turn it back in once you're done. All right, y'all have a good day.